Today is Mental Health Monday, and we are taking a completely different direction. So, boy, I don't know about you, but I had a crazy weekend. I had the craziest weekend probably the craziest weekend of 2022. Yeah, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who can relate to this. Ever since the pandemic, we can definitely say that the lockdown era, it impacted so much about us, our routines, our social lives, our school, work, relationships, so much more. It's caused loss of lives around the globe, as well as the loss of normalcy for a lot of people. Like, some things are just not normal anymore. There are too many cases to count. We spoke about Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, Emmett Till. There's a movie coming out about his story, by the way. The Black and brown people, racial and social injustice, insecurity in Nigeria. The dollar fluctuations, the economic situation literally has thrown some people into a mental health limbo. Like, they don't even know what they are feeling. Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I depressed? What exactly is going on here? Now, like I said, there are many losses to grieve in the midst of the intensity of civil unrest, on top of more typical stressors like, you have to write an exam, your finals, failing the bar exam, for instance, looking for a job. Whew, like I said, it is a lot to taking. So it's Monday and we are talking mental health. And who else would I be doing this with? Rapid transformational therapist is joining me now, Adeola Kingsley James. I look forward to this conversation with you, because for me, I feel like it's just like, my own little way of just telling the world how I feel. Like, Adeola, my weekend was stressful. I need a break.
And this is your way of getting free therapy as well, Kachi.
Oh,
tell the truth.
Yeah, I gotta add that. It is my way of getting free therapy. But last Monday we spoke about grief. We had a very, very sweet lady with us, Tofumi, and she spoke about how she dealt with the loss of her sister. And we're still within that same line of conversation today, aren't we?
Yeah. Yes, thank you once again for inviting me, Kachi, and well done with all that you're doing. I think it's important that we speak about our mental health, because right now a lot of people are suffering mentally. Yes, we did start with grief last week, and I was explaining grief as the feeling of losing something or someone. And we had that wonderful lady, Tofumi, who shared her losing her sister. Do you have a particular question you want to ask, or should I just keep going?
1,000%. So I want us to begin with putting, hello. I want us to begin with this. Just like I said in my intro, right now, I won't even lie, I had to delete Instagram, Adeola. I picked up my phone. I'm sure a lot of the people who follow me will notice I don't post as much. My stories, it's been dry. I had to delete it because there's so much bad news out there. So taking all of that in, on Thursday last week, Adeola, I walked in, I was just angry. And then the thing is, here's the weirdest part. I wanted to cry, but at the same time, I was irritated. So I wasn't really sure of what was even irritating me. I was like, okay, so where do I place this now? I was like, what was actually wrong with you? But I couldn't place it. So that's what I want to talk about. Placing your feelings. How do we do that? How do we ensure that, you can understand what you're feeling at a particular time, so that you don't mistake it for somebody else? Transfer of aggression could happen, which, in my case is the norm. How do we do that? That's what I want to start this conversation with.
Hurt people, Kachi. Hurt people.
You see, and then I have to buy them cake to apologize.
That's all you've got to give. Yes. So let's start with this. I want us to do an exercise. So you said you had a thought of what's wrong with you, Kachi, correct?
Precisely.
Okay. So when you thought that way, what's wrong with you, Kachi, how did you feel within yourself? How did you feel?
Okay, so I felt weak, like, you got to figure this out so you can get back to your superpower.
So you thought, what's wrong with you, Kachi?
Yeah.
You thought, what's wrong with you, Kachi? Then you felt weak. What else? What else did you feel?
I felt Sad. I felt sad.
Sad.
Uh-huh.
So let's use both. So your thought was, what's wrong with you, Kachi? And then the feeling was sad and, what was the second one?
And weakness, like just not powerful, not strong, not
Yes,
my
so you
usual.
felt sad and weak. Fantastic. How did you behave? Feeling sad, not your usual self, and weak. How did you behave?
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
Okay,
I'd
so
like to
basically
know.
what
I want to work you through this so that you can help yourself next time.
Okay, so when I was in that space, like I said, I was lashing out, things that normally will not irritate. For instance, I needed to get into my bedroom. I took some time off with my sisters and I wanted to get into my room and my key was not where I kept it. I got very upset at that. I was going to bite somebody's head off. Now, that was not a usual reaction, but I just noticed myself lashing out a lot. I wanted to cry. I just wanted to cry. I was like, let me just cry. I did not have a reason to, but I really just wanted to cry. So I think those two things, just lashing out at other people and wanting to cry immensely. Although I did have chicken later and I felt better. Maybe I was hungry.
Just wait. So you started with what's wrong with me, Kachi. Then you felt sad, weak, and upset. Then you behaved, your actions were, you were irrational, you were angry, you lashed out on people. What was the result after lashing out on people? That whole trajectory, what was the result of that?
So it was this phase where, what was the result of that? I won't lie to you, Gila. I kind of felt better.
Yes.
I did feel better. I felt like, although I did have to apologize, and I hate doing that. I had to apologize because I realized that the people I was lashing out really didn't deserve this level of frustration I was dishing. But I felt it's weird that it's bad. Maybe, I don't know if it's bad, but I felt lighter. I was like, yeah, I feel better just letting all of this out. And in a way, I also felt like there was a bigger issue that I just wasn't aware of. And I still don't know what that issue is, to be honest.
Okay, so that's great. So let's start at the beginning. Your thought was, what's wrong with me, Kachi? Then you felt hurt and sad. And then your action was you were irritated, you shouted at everybody and you lashed out. And then the result was you had to apologize, which is not something you normally like to do. Now let's flip that what's wrong with you, Kachi, to the opposite of it. Let's come up with an opposite of, what's wrong with you, Kachi, in a positive way. What would a positive of what's wrong with you, Kachi, feeling sad or thinking
like what
that
is
there's something wrung? So maybe the thought would be, I'm good. Everything is good, all good,
if
right?
If that was the opposite.
Let's use that. Very good.
It will be, I'm pumped.
All right.
I have energy, I'm ready to go. I am smiling like,
Fantastic.
for no reason.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now what's the feeling that comes with that? What's the feeling that comes with that? I'm pumped, all is well, ready to go, excited. What's the feeling that comes with that?
Positive energy, creativity.
Yes.
Great ideas.
Yes.
Strength.
Yes.
I'm
coming.
Fluid. It doesn't feel like I'm working.
Yes.
It just feels like I'm gisting with you, So I walk better as well. On those days, you should see my walking steps. It's so good. So it's just a great day. My skin glows.
So now what would then be the action? How would you behave? See, you even have so many things to say. Very good. So your action, your behavior is that you now give out a lot of money. You're excited.
I'm just happy.
What's the result of it?
People are happy.
What's the result of it?
Everyone is happy. Like I do giveaways and yeah.
Aha. So can you even see the sound of your voice,
yeah.
right? Can you see how excited you are just by thinking the thoughts?
Yeah.
Now the difference between the first thoughts and the second thoughts is that one was a negative thought, and so the thought will lead to a negative action that will lead to a negative behavior, that will lead to a negative feeling, that will lead to a negative result. However, the opposite one was a positive thought, and it led immediately to smiles on your face. So you felt beautiful, felt wonderful, your skin, fantastic. What was your action? You gave out money, you're great, you're fantastic, and then eventually you are happier. So everything And what we're talking about happened last week. Everything happens in your thoughts. First in your thoughts. So if you find yourself doing things that you don't like, or you are not happy with, or you feel depressed, or you feel angry within yourself, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what am I thinking? Because it all starts with something negative. So when you then find why you're feeling that way because you thought a negative thought, just send the opposite. Think the opposite. And immediately it feels better because everything happens in your thoughts. It's not actually even happening for real because you have lived it, it's gone. You're reviewing it, not reliving it. So rather than reliving or reviewing it, in a positive way, you're reliving it and reviewing it in a negative way, but it's not happening anymore. So when you find yourself in that space, and that's what I started talking about last week, calling it a looping thought. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
I remember when you brought up the conversation of looping thought, but unfortunately last week we didn't have so much time to really get into that. But I think with this, brief explanation that you just gave, Adeola, quite honestly, it's weird how we always say we know these things, but when you actually put it into practical, it's how do I put it? It's more real, let me put it that way, But Adeola, again, we don't have so much time on this, so we're going to have to just skedaddle out of here. And I do hope that people who saw this session, as I always say, when it comes to mental health and Arise 360, it's real, it's raw, it's my genuine emotions, me just putting it out there for you to see, because I always say this, we're all human, we all have blood in our skin, and we all feel. So the same way I feel, you feel. The same way you feel, I feel. So let's all just work through our mental health together with, of course, Adeola Kingsley James, a rapid transformational therapist who keeps telling me to do therapy, but, Adeola will get there.
Yes, eventually.
Eventually. Well, thanks for joining me today.